So I am here with Kimbra Audrey, who was our model today on the REVtalks shoot, and she is a photographer based in Paris. We wanted to ask her a little bit about body confidence and, you know, feminism in this day and age of Instagram and that kind of generation. So Kimbra, I would love to just hear a little bit about your story and how you got to being a photographer and being behind the lens and how that's kind of shaped your ideas of femininity.
So I studied photography in high school, and I also started modeling when I was 15. I modeled for nearly 10 years, and I would always have a camera with me. And while I was modeling, I began taking self-portraits, and it really was therapeutic for me. I suffered with depression, and I wasn't happy with the fashion industry. I felt like a lot of the values that they were perpetuating just weren't in alignment with my own ethics, and it was hard for me to just be a part of the superficial world, and I really wanted to create images that were natural and honest and raw and showed a variety of emotions, and I felt reflected who I was. So I started self-portraits, and now that's all I do.
It's interesting. So running a fashion retailer, we get, you know, we've had comments before from our consumers that we've worked with models in the past who were too thin or too perfect looking, and, you know, that was fair enough, that was a real comment. And it's also interesting that you get from modeling agencies a very stereotypical girl now, and I feel like a lot of those girls probably don't naturally look that way. It's much more that they've kind of been forced to look a certain way. And did you feel that pressure when you were modeling commercially?
It's crazy. Even when I was 15, I was told like my hips were too big, I needed to lose an inch off my hips and like exercise more, cut out, like it was ingrained in me at such an early age to look a certain way and be a certain size, and that was normal for so long. And it's not only the agencies, but it goes deeper where it's the clients and they're making the samples a 0 or a 2 where it's you have to be that size to fit the clothes, and instead of changing the way they're making the samples by making a larger size for an average woman, they're making them so small that it only fits people who are basically anorexic.
How did you escape from that? How did you say, like, I want to still model and be in front of the camera, but also I want to be real and I want to be able to eat proper meals and you know, have an imperfectly perfect body? Like, how did you kind of get to that point where you were able to step back?
I started taking self-portraits while I was still modeling, and it was just complete therapy. And I was like, I don't know why I'm modeling. Like, this is not something that I can continue doing because it's just killing my soul. Like, I was so depressed. I didn't like the images that I was a part of. And so slowly I just was like, I'm gonna do photography and I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna be nude, and I'm not gonna be a part of the fashion industry. I'm not gonna continue these ideals and values that are.
And why do you feel that being nude in particular is so important to you? Like,
well, for me, when I first started taking self-portraits, they were nude, but I wasn't comfortable. Like, I truly felt uncomfortable because I had all these patriarchal stigmas ingrained in me that I had to break down. And slowly, I began to love my body the way that it was naturally and see beauty in things that other people might call imperfect. And what really pushed me over the edge to shoot nude is that I was so angry and disappointed in the fashion industry that I just didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want clothes in my photos. And the easiest way to do that was to not wear it. I was like, no clothes.
yeah. Well, thank you for shooting our clothes. I really appreciate it. And do you still feel, you know, I know a lot of women in particular, we look at Instagram and we see these like perfect images and these perfect bodies and things, and how do you feel sometimes still insecure about maybe not looking that way? And if so, like, how do you combat that? Or do you feel like over the years you've really kind of risen above it?
But I definitely think that it's not helping our society having these images that are so perfect when it's not real, and it's just creating this value that everyone should look exactly the same also. And I think we're losing the importance of individuality and uniqueness, and like everyone's unique and special, and we should honor that and show that more.
Well, kind of delving into sustainability, obviously you kindly agreed to shoot with us today, and you mentioned in your emails, like back and forth when we were kind of talking between Paris and London, that you were you were happy that we were a sustainable brand and you only wanted to work with sustainable brands from here on out. And I'm so happy to hear that, first of all. And secondly, what made you kind of get into sustainability and thinking that that was a thing that you would be happy to put clothing on for and support?
Well, in my daily life, I'm vegan and I'm very eco-conscious, and I try to lower my carbon footprint as much as possible and only buy eco-friendly products and wear eco-friendly clothing or sustainable clothing. And that's something that's extremely important to me.
We talked about this with Ella Grace Denton earlier. Do you feel like sustainability is a fundamentally feminist issue? I think we talk about this a lot in the Rev office. It's, for right now, we only cater to women, and we've got all female employees, and we think a lot of times that it is quite closely connected. But would you agree with that, or would you say it's a more universal?
I've actually read a lot of books on how sustainability and environmentalism is directly related to feminism.
Oh, really?
My favorite book, I think you'd really like it, it's called If Women Rose Rooted by Sharon Blackie. It's incredible, and it's about environmentalism and feminism.
Yeah.
But basically, Mother Earth is our planet. She gives us life, air, water, food, everything. She's the source of all life. And the way that we've mistreated her, abused her, is directly related to the way that we mistreat and abuse women in the world. It's exactly the same. And because we're disrespecting Earth so much, people think it's okay to disrespect women, which is why it is a feminist issue and why we need to be using our voices more and speaking up for ourselves and the planet, and they need to happen simultaneously.
Well, thank you. And you can see Kimbra on our summer campaign and learn more about her on REVtalks.com. So thank you so much, Kimbra.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was amazing.